Story 1. Some background. I'm a veteran who suffers from major depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. Because of this, my psychiatrist or psychologist, I don't know, I get them confused, I mean the therapy one, not the medicine one, suggested getting a service animal and said she's writing a letter to make it an emotional support animal until it was certified. Luckily, a friend of my mom's was giving away 3 great Pyrenees Catahoula mixed puppies, which was perfect for me as I herd and haul cattle for work. Both breeds are herding dogs and very intelligent, happy, and lovable. So she'd be able to help me at work and with my post-traumatic stress disorder. The characters are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll mention that Sadie is my pup, the goodest, clumsiest pup that ever pupped. Normally, my company lets me bring Sadie with me, and she'll ride in my truck or hang out in the shop with our mechanic's dog. But my girlfriend usually spends Friday to Sunday at my place, and Sadie latched onto her immediately when they met. They were both cuddled up asleep and looked too cute to wake, so I left Sadie with her for the day, knowing she wouldn't mind as she has a Great Dane and loves big puppies. After work, I called my girlfriend to let her know I was heading home. She said she was taking care of the horses. Yes, she's a horse girl, but not that kind, and she had Sadie with her, but she was just finishing up. Knowing that neither of us would want to get out again after getting home, I asked her if she wanted to meet me at the pet store to grab a service dog in training vest. Trying to train her in public is pretty hard as everyone, very understandably, goes crazy for her on site and has to pet her, and I figured that this vest would at least deter the crowd. So, fast forward to us in the large chain pet store. There are only like 2, so it's a 50-50 chance you think of it immediately. Letting her choose a few toys and finally coming up on the collar harnesses section we've been looking for. QE fitting her for different harnesses, leashes etc. I'm starting to put up everything I had pulled out while joking with my girlfriend when I get a hard tap on my shoulder by someone with very long nails. I turn to see what I instinctively know is a very entitled woman. She was mid-late 40s, long bleached blonde hair and a ponytail, jeans that may have fit 20 years ago, although in her defense she wasn't overweight, but the jeans were just way too tight, and a button-down western shirt. Thankfully with an undershirt just in case the poor buttons lost their never-ending battle with her obviously artificially altered bust line. Now, this is the type of woman I refer to as a Texan soccer mom, but for this story, I'll just call her Karen. She says, as soon as I start turning, "It's about time. I've been waiting here for at least 5 minutes while you attempt to flirt with this poor woman." Now, my girlfriend hates confrontation and avoids it at all costs. But me, well, I see it as a way to joke, annoy, or just let my inner sassy self shine through. My girlfriend knows this, and as we share a look, she rolls her eyes at my smile and walks off with the pup to browse the next aisle. Karen, again annoyed. Really? You're just going to ignore me? I'm sorry about that, ma'am. What do you need? Honestly, she was already annoying me with her rudeness, but that's no reason to be a jerk. Yet, I need to know where the something is. I wasn't really paying attention at this point, already deciding to have a laugh sending her on a wild goose chase. Oh, sure thing, ma'am. Go to the end of this aisle, down 3, make a left, then a right at the next, and it'll be at the top halfway down, or something like that. I don't remember as I was just saying random things. With that, Karen takes off on her quest to find her magic somethings, and I walk to meet back up with my girlfriend, who was now in line for the one open register in the store, not complaining. It was moving fast, just setting the scene. Wow, that was fast. Me, a bit proud and with a big smile. Oh, she just needed to know where something was. GF, knowing me well enough to not believe I'd help someone that was being that rude. Really? That's it? Did you help her? Yep, I was a bit rude back though. Karen, immediately after, almost cutting into my sentence, with who I assume is the manager. That's him right there, and he's still harassing this poor woman too. I want him fired right now. He gave me wrong directions to aisles that don't even exist just to get rid of me to flirt with this woman more. Me to my girlfriend, who was visibly annoyed with me. What? Giving her wrong directions is a type of rude. Now, Karen coming up with the manager just made me smile more, which of course annoyed my girlfriend more, but I couldn't help it. This was too funny. Store manager, to Karen, "Ma'am, I've never seen him before. He doesn't work here." And to my girlfriend, "Ma'am, is this man bothering you?" My girlfriend. Yes, but no more than usual, with a big smile on her face, thinking she was funny. Karen. Then why do you smell like an animal? Manager. Ma'am, that's obviously a cow smell. We don't sell cattle. Karen, giving up on the manager and turning to me. You don't work here. Why didn't you just tell me? Me. Why didn't you just ask? That's no excuse not to tell me. It would have taken a lot less time. Yes, but it wouldn't be as fun. Hopefully, next time you speak to a worker or a stranger, you won't be so rude. Karen, screeching at this point. Where do you work? I'll call the manager there to complain about you. And she even admitted that you usually bother her. So I'll tell him about your stalking too. Okay, at this point, we were next in line, and I didn't have any plans on staying to argue. But what she just said made me laugh right in front of her. Lady, I don't know who the heck you think you are, but let me tell you some things. 1. I don't, nor have I ever, worked customer service. My boss couldn't care less that I was a jerk to some old woman. 2. Don't be rude to people. No matter what their job is, they deserve respect. And 3. What is your obsession with me flirting with my girlfriend? I got news for you. Even if I was single, I wouldn't be flirting with you, but I'd be happy to help you find someone more age-appropriate. You're what? 55. Yes, I know it was a bit of a low blow since she was obviously sensitive about her age, but at this point, she'd made it personal, and I was angry that she'd accuse me of stalking when she didn't even know my name. My girlfriend was doing her best to ignore us and pay so we could leave, and luckily after I said this, she had her receipt in hand and we turned to leave. Karen, eyes wide and mouth agape, of course started screaming profanities once she saw us start to leave. She followed us out to the parking lot, basket and all, with the manager following her, since she hadn't paid for anything yet. My girlfriend was starting to visibly shake. She really doesn't handle confrontation well, so I got her in the car and then loaded the bags in the trunk. The entire time, Karen was screaming, mostly incoherently, following me around the car while blocking me from backing out by putting her basket behind my car. At this point, a few things happened at once. First, I got in the driver's seat and started to swing my door shut. Second, Karen tried to stop me from closing the door by grabbing it. Third, she fails to stop the door, and it closes. Her hand was still on it. Fourth, she screams like a rabbit. Fifth, I opened the door so she could get her hand out. She immediately yanks it away, and then did the one thing that I never expected. After getting her hand crushed in the door, this person tries to stop me from closing the door. Again. With her knee this time. What in the world? She's definitely got determination. I'll give her that. Of course, it didn't close all the way this time, but I was angry and slammed it so it closed hard and fast and was probably still pretty painful. Now I'm laughing again, not at her getting hurt, but because as I looked back to tell the manager she may need help back to the store, I saw him, already halfway back to the store with her basket. The entire situation was just so unbelievably absurd. At this point, my girlfriend was crying and holding Sadie really tight, so I shut my door, made sure no body parts were in it this time, and backed out, careful not to run over Karen, although admittedly at this point, it'd be a lie to say I wasn't tempted. It's been a week now, and while I expected to get a summons or a letter from a lawyer or something, nothing has happened, and that's fine because I don't think that you can get in trouble for hurting someone while they try to restrain you from leaving. I should also say that no, I don't particularly feel bad about anything that happened to Karen, but I feel horrible for putting my girlfriend in this situation and apologized at least 100 times this week. We're good, but I gotta be on my best behavior in public for a while. Story 2. I have been mistaken for an employee more times than I can count. It doesn't matter the store, time of day, or what I'm wearing. Someone will ask for help. My fiancé didn't believe me at first, but now that we grocery shop together, he has noticed how often someone will ask me where something is or if such a thing is in stock. A few times, I can reason away as a stranger asking another stranger for help. Most of these cases are little old folks who just want to get their stuff and leave or can't reach something high up. Other times, I put on a generally friendly face despite my best attempts at developing a resting unfriendly face. More often than not, it's some inconsiderate person who doesn't give a darn who helps them, only that they need help right now. This is the third type. So I'm in the store, I have a basket over my arm, And I'm checking my list when dude walks up very close to me, no mask, and asks if I can call someone to the sporting goods area. I am in the plumbing area, wearing a dress and sandals and my very cute Pikachu mask. I'm used to responding to strangers' demands for help and politely tell him I don't work at the store, but I just saw an employee one aisle over that should be able to help. He stares at me long enough that I'm beginning to suspect he didn't hear me. I go to repeat myself, and his face goes full-on dark red. You all know where this is going. He does his little rant about how he needs help, and is it really so hard for me to take a second and walk to the counter with him, and I shouldn't be on my phone at work anyway. Again, I've heard it all before in some way or another, so I just roll my eyes and walk away. Big mistake, apparently. He grabs my shoulder and spins me around so fast I drop my phone and my basket. I'm not a big person, and I have some history that makes this not a good idea on dude's part. Some warrior spirit takes over my body, and I grab his fingers and wrench them back while releasing a primordial scream that would have sent every demon scurrying back into the netherworld. He tries to jump back, but I bend his fingers so quickly, I feel the knuckles pop, and he's looking wide-eyed between me and two, now limp, fingers on his hand. I too am stunned at what I've done and don't move. Remember that employee one aisle over that could have helped. At some point, probably after I screamed, he came to investigate and was suddenly right next to me asking what was going on. Dude is cradling his hand and yells, "She broke my hand." I am starting to feel my anxiety and embarrassment flare up and quietly pick up my phone and basket from the floor. The employee is radioing a manager, and I just start putting my stuff back in my basket. Dude is yelling and won't let the employee see his hand. I stand back up and wait, for what or why my little brain doesn't know. I have reverted back to a 10-year-old who's been sent to the principal's office. The manager summons the police officer who has been staking out our grocery store since lockdown. Manager gets dude a mask and brings the first aid kit while the cop asks what happened. Statements are taken, dude is calmed down, and I'm asked to wait in the manager's office. I'm stuck in there for close to 3 hours until the officer comes to ask if I want to press charges. Stunned, I quickly said no without thinking, not that I would press charges, but even hours later, I'm embarrassed and feel like I'm in trouble. She says, "All right, I'm free to go." Turns out I was assaulted and defended myself, per the security footage and the employee that was one aisle over. He had heard me and dude talking, and then dude yelling. Then my tiny girl voice rang out a defiant tiger roar, so he backed up what the video showed. I had dislocated 2 of dude's fingers and somehow had dug my nails into his hand enough to draw blood. He had been told in no uncertain terms, I did not work there, and what was wrong with him grabbing someone like that? Even if I had been an employee, he would have been in serious trouble, and he was lucky that I didn't want to press charges. To quote the wonderfully funny John Mulaney, whose comedy specials I binged when I got home that night. So I grabbed my stuff and I left. My fiancé has always agreed I should press charges. We got a little pushback at the police station, but I had a big strong man to sass back on my behalf because girls are always exaggerating, and we got the responding officer to back me up. I mostly want to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone again, and if it does, that there is an established record of behavior. Story 3. This happened several years ago. I was shopping at Garden Ridge, which sold household items, decor items, gifts, and craft supplies. It was a huge store with 2 entrances and 2 sets of checkout lanes, 1 set at each entrance. I was casually shopping when a round woman in her 50s or 60s got right in front of my cart. She glared at me, and I tried to go around her, but she stopped me again, saying, "You gonna help me or not?" I said, "What?" "I need a register open so I can check out." I looked at her, astounded. "I don't work here, but there are registers open at the other entrance." "I don't want to walk to those registers. Now open one and check me out." I looked her in the eye and said sternly, "I don't work here." She threw her hands up in the air and started to walk away. As she was walking away, she turned and yelled at me, "This isn't over." I ignored her and grabbed the last couple of items I needed and headed to the checkout. I noticed the line was not moving, and I could hear that awful woman's voice. She was arguing with a cashier. The cashier called a manager. Other people waiting in line were getting impatient, and it was showing. The manager arrived and instructed the cashier to open another register so that the rest of us, the sane people, could check out. "How come you open a register for them but not for me?" the awful woman yelled at the manager. He replied, "Ma'am, you're at an open register now. What can I help you with?" "I wanted a register opened at the other door, and one of your workers refused to do it." She kept babbling nonsense. I raised my hand and got the manager's attention. The awful woman looked over at me at the same time the manager did. It was her. She wouldn't open a register for me. Then she lied and said she didn't work here. "Ma'am, she doesn't work here," the manager said. "Are you going to help me or not?" she yelled. "I'm trying to help you, ma'am, but you haven't asked for something that I can help you with. If you want to check out, then I'll check you out." The awful woman huffed and puffed and started angrily putting her items on the counter. I was nearly done paying for my items at the other checkout lane when she was done paying for hers. The manager handed her the receipt and told her to have a nice day. As the awful woman was walking towards the door, she paused and shouted, "I guess customer service is dead here." The manager shouted back, "Ma'am, you can call corporate and get it out of your system. I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me or my staff." "Oh, I'm definitely calling corporate, and I'm telling them everything that happened here today," she yelled. I was walking past her and said to her, "I'm sure that will be rich. Tell them you need to have your own personal checkout lane while you're at it." She looked at me, red-faced and shaking, and yelled, "I plan on it," then took off following the sidewalk around the building. As I walked to my car, I was still in shock that someone can be so awful.